It always starts with someone else, doesn't it? Right now, across America, the storm is gathering and its first rains are falling on our Latino brothers and sisters. In cities like Los Angeles, Houston, and Phoenix, the federal government has unleashed a campaign of mass deportations that feels less like policy and more like a military operation. Imagine waking up to the sight of ICE agents backed by active-duty Marines and thousands of National Guard troops sweeping through your neighborhood. This isn't some far-off dystopian movie. This is happening today, in June 2025. The justification is always simple, always clean. We're just enforcing the law. But the methods tell a different story. A story of overwhelming force designed to shock and awe a community into submission. History has a funny and frankly terrifying way of rhyming. Governments with an authoritarian itch don't just stop with one group. They start with the one they think is the easiest target, the one they believe the majority won't stand up for. They test the waters to see what they can get away with. They're not citizens, the argument goes. This doesn't concern you. But the machinery of oppression, once built, is never dismantled. It's oiled, it's expanded, and it's pointed at the next target. The tactics being normalized today, the use of the military against civilians, the suspension of due process, the public demonization of a whole group of people, are creating a precedent. And precedents are powerful things. They make the unthinkable seem normal, and the previously illegal seem necessary. What's truly chilling is how this is playing out in the court of public opinion. A recent poll shows that 54% of Americans support this mass deportation program. Think about that. Over half the country is okay with this, at least for now. They see the headlines, they hear the rhetoric about securing the border, and they nod along. However, support dips when you mention using the Marines on American soil, which shows there's still a line for some people, but that line is shifting. The constant drumbeat of fear, the portrayal of immigrants as a threat, wears people down. It's a classic strategy: create a crisis, offer a strong solution, and watch as people trade their principles for a false sense of security. The tools of this campaign are becoming alarmingly broad. The Trump administration is even exploring ways to deport American citizens to overseas prisons, specifically mentioning a mega prison in El Salvador. They talk about sending horrible people from cities like Chicago there. Now, who gets to define horrible people? Today it might be a convicted felon. Tomorrow it could be a protester. The language is intentionally vague, the target intentionally flexible. This is the part of the story where everyone should be paying close attention. When the government starts talking about shipping its own citizens away, the question is no longer if they will come for others, but when. And the black community, with its long and painful history of being targeted by the state, has every reason to be watching with bated breath. If you want to know what's coming next, you don't even need a crystal ball. You just need to read the manual. It's called Project 2025, and it's a detailed 1,000-page blueprint for how to remake America. It reads like a villain's to-do list. The plan explicitly calls for dismantling civil rights protections that have been fought for over decades. It talks about purging federal agencies of anyone deemed disloyal and targeting what it calls anti-American institutions. Now, who do you think falls into that category? It's not a stretch to see organizations like Black Lives Matter, civil rights groups, and even black-led media outlets being branded as enemies of the state. This isn't a conspiracy theory, it's their stated goal, published for all to see. This isn't just about future plans either. The groundwork is already being laid. Alongside the highly visible raids against Latino communities, there's a quieter, more insidious war being waged. Surveillance of black activists and community organizers has skyrocketed. Under the guise of fighting domestic extremism, federal agencies are monitoring, infiltrating, and disrupting groups that advocate for racial justice. We're seeing a rise in pre-dawn, no-knock raids in black neighborhoods in cities like Atlanta and Chicago. It feels like a grim throwback to the FBI's infamous COINTELPRO program, which illegally targeted civil rights leaders in the 1960s and 70s. The message is clear: if you organize, if you speak out, you will be watched. And a government that watches its people is a government that is preparing to control them. The legal framework is also being reshaped to make all of this easier. In June 2025, the administration rolled out a new travel ban, this one more legally sophisticated and broader than the one from 2017. It targets 12 countries, the majority of which are in Africa or have large black populations like Haiti, Nigeria, and Somalia. This isn't just an immigration policy, it's a policy that fundamentally sends a message about who is and isn't welcome in America. It reinforces the idea that black people, whether they are from the Caribbean, Africa, or America itself, are somehow foreign and suspect. It's a legal justification for racial profiling on an international scale, and it sets a dangerous tone for how black people are viewed and treated within the country's borders. These actions create a chilling effect. When people see their leaders arrested, their organizations monitored, and their communities over-policed, many will choose silence out of fear for their safety and their families. This is how dissent is smothered. It doesn't always require a loud, public declaration of tyranny. It can happen slowly, through 1,000 small cuts. A new regulation here, a targeted investigation there, a new law that chips away at another right. Before you know it, the landscape has completely changed. The space for protest shrinks, the cost of speaking out becomes too high, and the state's power becomes absolute. This is the blueprint in action, moving from the page and into the streets, preparing the ground for what comes next. The massive militarized raids in Los Angeles and Houston are more than just immigration enforcement. They are a test run. They are a live-action experiment to see how far the government can push, how much the public will accept, and how effective these new, aggressive tactics are. When you deploy active-duty Marines on American streets to round up civilians, you are deliberately breaking a long-standing norm. The administration is testing the system's breaking points. They federalize the National Guard without the governor's consent, an extreme move not seen in decades. California's governor is suing, but the legal battle itself serves a purpose for the administration. It creates a debate, it normalizes the conversation, and it makes the next time they do it seem less shocking. This is a classic authoritarian tactic. Boil the frog slowly. You don't jump straight to declaring martial law nationwide. You start in one city, against one community. You frame it as a necessary response to a crisis. The media covers it, people argue about it, but life goes on for everyone else. Then you do it again in another city. Each time, the shock value decreases. The public gets used to seeing images of soldiers in their cities. The sight of armored vehicles rolling down residential streets becomes just another part of the news cycle. This normalization is the most dangerous part of the process because it desensitizes the very people who should be sounding the alarm. The unthinkable becomes routine. Think about the psychological impact. For the communities being targeted, it's terror. For the communities watching, it's a complex mix of fear, apathy, and for some, even approval. The administration is banking on the idea that as long as the other is being targeted, most Americans will stay on the sidelines. They exploit existing divisions, particularly economic anxieties, to turn neighbor against neighbor. Recent data shows that even among immigrant voters, favorability toward the undocumented has dropped. This is the divide and conquer strategy playing out in real time. By making people feel insecure about their own economic standing, you can convince them that the real enemy is the person who has even less than they do. This test run isn't just about tactics, it's about infrastructure. Every raid helps streamline the process of detention and deportation. Every operation builds a more efficient machine for social control. They are perfecting the logistics, coordinating between different agencies, ICE, the National Guard, local police, and building a system that can be scaled up and redirected at a moment's notice. The system being built to deport Latinos today can easily be used to incarcerate black activists tomorrow. The databases, the detention centers, the legal justifications, it's all being put in place. We are witnessing the construction of a cage, and while the first occupants are our Latino neighbors, the door is being left wide open for the next group. In the face of this growing threat, something powerful is happening. Black and Latino communities are refusing to be divided. In cities across the country, Black-led organizations are standing in solidarity with immigrant rights groups. They are providing legal aid, organizing mutual aid networks to support families torn apart by raids, and showing up at protests. Leaders like Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and Newark Mayor Ras Baraka are using their platforms to condemn these actions, with some, like Baraka, even getting arrested at demonstrations. This is the front line of the resistance, a coalition of the targeted, a recognition that an injustice to one is a threat to all. This unity is the government's biggest fear. But this solidarity comes with immense risk. The same surveillance and intimidation tactics being tested on immigrant communities are being swiftly deployed against anyone who stands with them. Activists involved in these solidarity efforts report being targeted by law enforcement, They face arrests on trumped-up charges, detention without cause, and federal investigations for inciting unrest. This is a deliberate strategy to break the bonds of solidarity. The government wants to make the act of helping your neighbor so dangerous that people are too afraid to do it. They want to isolate each community, making them easier to control and defeat one by one. The message is simple and brutal: stand with them, and you will fall with them. The tragic irony is that while these grassroots coalitions are forming, the political ground is shifting under their feet. Trump has successfully made inroads with Hispanic voters, increasing his support by convincing a segment of the population that his tough policies will bring economic stability. This creates a complex and fractured landscape where the fight is not just against the government, but also for the hearts and minds of people within the targeted communities themselves. It's a painful reminder that shared identity does not guarantee shared politics. This division is a powerful tool for those in power, as it weakens the potential for a unified opposition from the very start. This is the moment of truth. The warning signs are not just flashing, they are blaring like a siren in the night. The pattern is clear, the blueprint is public, and the test runs are underway. If we wait until the storm is at our own doorstep, it will be too late. The time to stand up is now, not when they come for you, but when they come for your neighbor. Solidarity is not just a moral ideal, it is a strategic necessity for survival. Ignoring the plight of the Latino community today is an invitation for the government to target the Black community tomorrow. We must choose to stand together, to risk together, and to resist together. Because if we don't, we will surely fall apart.